There is actually a Google Forms which you can go ahead and fill out to give to EA to provide your own feedback about NBA Live Mobile. So I thought, why not go ahead and do this for a video to give my thoughts and opinions. Of course, we'll go ahead and fill out this form and also go through a couple of other thoughts that I have about the game at the moment. But I am liking the fact that they are doing this, so hopefully we will be able to see some change within the game. I will put the link to this in the description down below, and I'll put it in the pinned comment so you guys can go ahead and fill this out for yourself to give your own feedback to EA themselves. And if you guys want to go ahead and post a screenshot for your filled out form, you can go do so by joining the Discord server. The link, as always, is in the description down below. And I am going to be completely honest about the game in these thoughts and opinions. So let's get started with the first question, which is, how is your overall experience playing NBA Live Mobile? And to be completely honest with you, it's definitely not on this side over here. It's leaning more towards 1, possibly 2 over there. And I'm going to have to say 1 just because I'm not really playing the game a huge amount at the moment. I'm not finding any joy in playing the game at the moment. The only thing I'm enjoying is making videos about the game. Like, that is the only thing with it at the moment. And it is a real shame to see because I've gone through season 4, loving the game on YouTube, season 5, playing through a lot of events, season 6, and slowly, bit by bit, it has got less and less. And even going back further than that, season 1, season 2, I was playing the game quite a lot, and that sort of joy and excitement of opening up a new promo or anything like that has slowly gone to the point where I'm barely opening the app unless I'm, say, live streaming or recording videos, which is really sad to see. So for me, it's on this end over here as being unsatisfactory. Going on to the next one, which is, how is your experience while navigating through the game? And I have to say, it is pretty much straightforward. Like, we've had the same game for the last 2-3 years, which does make it extremely easy to navigate the game. And of course, as I said, I have been playing the game quite a lot, so I do know exactly what you need to do to get through stuff, how you can actually navigate and go to the different modes and all of that stuff. So it isn't too difficult at all for me. I know if you are starting off the game, I'd say it does a pretty decent job at actually guiding you through everything and making it easy for you to understand what everything is used for and how you can actually go ahead and use different stuff, help yourself in upgrading your lineup, getting coins, getting cash, all of that stuff. It is fairly simplistic in how you have to go ahead and do stuff, which I think is pretty good. So for me, it is straightforward. Obviously, depending on how much you played the game, whether you're used to stuff, whether you got used to everything being the way it is, and how to go ahead and do stuff, and it will be on a varying spectrum for you guys. Then what they've gone ahead and done is basically just said, can you rank all of these stuff depending on whether you find them most difficult all the way to least difficult over here. Now, for me, they aren't really that difficult in the terms that I know what I'm doing pretty much. Of course, you do have to rank them, and I'd say the least difficult with all of this stuff is probably navigating and buying items in a store. That is a very simple thing to do. All you need to do is go ahead and basically press on the store, you buy some packs. That is pretty much it with it. You can watch an ad, coins, all of that stuff. So for me, I'd say that's probably the least difficult. 5th most difficult is probably navigating various modes and maps, simply because we've had them every single time now. It's pretty much all copy and paste. You know what to expect with every single promo, which for me makes it really easy to go ahead and be like, oh, okay, I need to do this to get this, and then that will help me with that. And that is basically the way it is. I don't want it to be. I want this to kind of be not a difficult thing, but I kind of want it to be more interesting in the ways that you have to go through different modes and maps and get different things. Obviously, I don't want it to be difficult for anyone, but I do want it to be a more exciting going forward in the future, as I think a lot of people do. Probably the 4th most difficult is, of course, viewing an event or promo or activity and understanding rewards. Again, that's probably because I played the game for a long period of time. Of course, if they changed up the promo structures, then it would be a lot different, and you'd probably have to go through it and really pick apart the promo and understand exactly what's going on, how you get the rewards and all that stuff. But because we keep getting the promos again and again, it is fairly simplistic in how they sort of run. The 3rd most difficult would probably be navigating and completing sets. Again, this is by no means extremely difficult, but I say out of the rest of these, it's probably up there in 3rd for me. 2nd one would probably be lineup management. Of course, there's lots of different things here and there with multi-year lineups, and of course the players fitting into different ones, all of that stuff. So I think that could be a little bit confusing. Again, I wouldn't say any of this stuff is confusing. I think knowing what to do next to improve your team is probably the most difficult out of all these ones. There's nowhere in the game that tells you exactly what every single boost does, which I think is a real area which EA could work towards, because unless you're going on Discord, unless you're going on YouTube for videos that have all of this stuff and all this information, you're not going to really know what every single boost does or what players have those boosts that can help your team. And of course, having that knowledge does help you be able to improve your team, because you know which players to try and get, you know which ones are going to improve your team in terms of overall, and of course boosting them as well, getting specific stats boosted as well, which I think is something that they do need to improve upon. And what do you know, they do actually have that in the next question, which is based on the most difficult activities you selected. Could you please provide us with any additional details to understand what we should focus on? So I'm going to go ahead and type up a little bit of a response. So I've basically gone ahead and put being able to preview players in your team from the auction house would be great to see how a player would affect your overall lineup before you purchase them. Then you would be able to compare which players would be better to improve your team. And with that, I do think it would be fairly useful for a lot of people. I know it's a feature that a lot of people have been wanting for a little while, but I do see it really improving a lot of people's game, because say you go ahead, you go on the auction house, you find a player, say with a team boost or what you think is going to be a team boost, you buy that player and then you realize it's not a team boost, it is just a position one. You probably wasted quite a few coins on getting that player. Whereas if you had that feature to sort of know how it's going to help your lineup and all of that stuff, then you would be able to make that decision a little bit better on how you go ahead and spend your coins. And possibly even with a promo as well, like loaning the card and being able to see what impact it would have on your team would help sway what masters you try and get. Then I went ahead and said making it clear to every user what every type of boost does and the different tiers of boost. Gold, elite and platinum, etc. would provide an extra way of people knowing the best boosts on players to focus on getting to improve their teams. I also added, in addition, being able to filter the auction house by boost would be beneficial when searching for players to improve the lineup. And obviously that is just an additional thing. Like if you could select what type of boost you were searching for, like say you wanted to get a player with the athleticism boost, because you know it's a good one, you search that up, you can just simply filter by the boost, which would make it really easy in trying to find players. Instead of you scrolling through higher overall players when there might be a low overall player with a good boost to help your team out, I think that'd be very fun and a pretty good mode in helping you find those specific players that will definitely improve your lineup. Then the next one is, out of the following modes or features, can you please rank where did you have the most fun experiences? So let's start off with the least fun and work our way up to the most fun. So least fun for me is gameplay. Gameplay hasn't really changed at all since probably season 1. Yes, the graphics have got a little bit better here and there, but the game engine is pretty much the same thing, which is a little bit annoying. There's not really variation, and it does get really frustrating sometimes if you get that green release on a 3-pointer and it just doesn't go in. Like, I think having that distinction between a green release and making it a little bit more based on skill and trying to get that green release. You look at 2K Mobile, there is a skill in trying to get that green release. The better the release, the more chance of it going in. Of course, that is the same with NBA Live Mobile, but it isn't really seen as much because that green release isn't a guaranteed make. It is one of those ones where you could get that green release, but it's not going in. In 2K Mobile, if you get that green release, it's guaranteed to go in, and that's the skill in trying to get that. One underneath that is one that I don't really play a huge amount, is competitive PvP. Now, I don't really play this mode a lot at all. I don't really play Showdown as much. Obviously, PvP I have started to play a little bit more on stream playing you guys, as it is one of the only ways which you can do that, which is a little bit of a shame. But honestly, I think so much more could be done with this PvP mode, maybe integrating it into certain events and all that stuff. I think that'd be pretty fun to see, but at the moment it's its own standalone thing, and I don't think it has seen any sort of innovation or anything from, say, 2-3 seasons ago, or even when it just launched. There's not really much innovation that we have had from this mode, and with basically a lot of modes in the game at the moment. Third most fun is completing goals and sets. I think that is pretty self-explanatory. It's not anything too major or anything like that. You're just completing a set, you're completing an achievement. I think that's probably the third most fun. Opening packs, this could be so much more fun, but of course opening packs is one of those things which is so much fun to do. Like, I recently did a press your dunk pack on TK Mobile, and having those types of pack in NBA Live Mobile would be so much fun to do. Even going back to the old days when you watch like a QJB pack opening, ripping open so many bundles in the game, trying to get lucky to get some players, it was just so much fun to see. Whereas now we sort of lost that with NBA Live Mobile. There's no really incentive to try and get some good packs in the game, and the ones you can get are going to be ones which are bought with coins, with cash. There's no coin packs at all, which is really unfortunate to see, but it is still the second most fun in my opinion. And then also the top one is of course collecting players. If you do play the game, then of course you will be trying to get yourself the best player from the promo or anything like that. And once you claimed it up, you stick it on your lineup, it does look pretty good. You've finally worked towards getting yourself a good player. The only downside with it is once you got that player, you want to try and do some gameplay, but I've just ranked gameplay as being the least fun. If gameplay was up there being the first most fun or the second most fun, that'd be pretty fun to see, because you could get yourself a really nice card, then go straight into gameplay and be like, wow, this card is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad I've worked towards getting the card. Whereas now it's just there to stick on your lineup. And yeah, you can still admire it on your lineup, but it's just that gameplay aspect for me is really letting the game down at the moment. Next question is, what draws your attention first when we launch a new event? And for me, it is going to be playing the event format. Of course, now because we're getting copy and paste promos, it is still the most exciting out of these three options. Collecting new players, new visuals and arts you kind of admire a little bit. Like, the artwork is pretty much always really good in the game, but it's just playing that event format. I'm looking for a new exciting format after playing the same ones again and again and again. Next one is, what are your thoughts about the information on player items, and personally I think it is the right amount. I think it's pretty much okay with what it is at the moment. Not many people read the description or anything like that. I'd say, I don't know, I can't speak for every single user, but personally I don't really press on too many player items. And then we've got a bigger sort of question over here, again going from least to most important, running down a bunch of things to ask you, when selecting a player to add to your lineup, what do you look for first? And to me, the least important thing is going to be the player team. I don't really mind what team the player plays on. It's not really going to make a difference to whether I pick them or not, and what I'm looking for first in a player. The next one is of course that background visuals, because for me personally, yes, the card art is generally nice, like it is pretty good. I'd like to have some more sort of animated cards and all of that stuff, but in terms of picking a player for a lineup, I wouldn't really say that is on my most important. I do think the cards that I have picked for card arts have sort of stayed on my bench, but they've not necessarily just made it onto my lineup because they have got good visuals. They'd only make it to my lineup if it was a legacy lineup or something like that. And the one that they here at the bottom is the player pose / outfit. Now, I was a little bit confused with reading this one. I do think it is the fifth most important, but I'm not sure whether they mean the pose the player has on the card, or whether, say, like we had last season with that Kawhi Leonard, and he had a hoodie when he was actually playing in the game. I don't know whether that's the case, or whether they're looking back at past season players that had stuff like that as well, when you had a JJ Redick who you could pick in different styles. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but I'd say it's the fifth most important thing if we're going on that sort of scale. The next one would be the player position. Of course, you're looking for a specific position for your team that will definitely help you out, and if you're not looking for, say, a shooting guard or anything like that, then you wouldn't really pick one. So I think that's definitely up there on the fourth most important. The third most important, player name, I guess, because like obviously you want to try and get players that you're familiar with, players that you like in the NBA, and with that you link the player that's in the NBA with the stats that you're expecting to see with that player. So I think that's probably the third most important thing. The next is of course the player style. With the boost item and all that stuff, you want to be linking to that player style that you've got on the boost item, so I think that's the second most important. First most important is of course the player overall. That's what you're mainly looking for with a player. You're looking at that overall. It could have also put boost on here as well, because I'd say that is also important, whether it's a team boost, what type of boost it is. I think that should have been on this question as well. Then they've also gone ahead and done the same thing as they did earlier with any other feedback. So again, I will type out an answer. So for this one, I put having customizable clothes / gear would be great to have for more players. For example, at the end of season 6, there was a Kawhi Leonard card with a different look to normal. Of course, him being in hoodies and a tracksuit, and I think that'd be pretty good. As I said, perhaps this clothing / gear could boost certain attributes or just be more interesting in gameplay. Then I also said having some more animated card art would be nice to include. We do sometimes with the player moving and all that stuff, but I think having some real good animated card art like we had back in season 4 with some of the glitch cards, that'd be very nice to see. Introducing separate lineups for every playstyle, finesse, power and strategic would provide a greater incentive for users to grind for more players to fill up those 3 lineups, instead of solely focusing on one player from one playstyle and missing promos when that type of player is not provided. A fairly long sentence, probably going to change it up a bit, but in essence, back in season 1 and I think potentially season 2, I could be wrong about that, we had separate lineups for separate sort of styles. So back then it was a shooting lineup, a small ball lineup, two-way lineup, big man lineup, and one other one that I know I'm forgetting. So in the current game, it would probably be a finesse lineup, a power lineup, and a strategic lineup separately, which I think would be much better than having one ultimate lineup where you're just trying to fill players that match with your boost item or something like that. Because if you had those 3 different lineups that were specifically used in different areas of the game, you'd be looking to upgrade all 3 of them simultaneously and get players from every single playstyle with a promo. Because at the moment, you're looking at a promo, you're saying, oh, that player's strategic, where's the strategic players, where's the power players, all of that stuff. You're not really going to grind a promo that doesn't have that player playstyle that you're looking for. Whereas if you had all 3 separate lineups, I think that'd be fairly fun to see. Then we got a couple of extra questions which I, to be honest, don't really think about too much. So during your gameplay experience, how often do you switch between auto and manual controls? I only pretty much play with manual controls, because obviously auto controls, you can't really play through any drills or anything like that. During your gameplay experience, what is your preference when switching between auto and manual control? And to be honest, I just want the game to automatically switch to auto after a short period of time. I know that NBA 2K Mobile, you have to press the button in the top right to switch from manual to auto. On FIFA Mobile, after a while, it does just go into auto mode and play the game for you. I think I just want it to switch to auto after a short period of time, but to be honest, that is the least of the issues with the gameplay at the moment. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference to anyone's game, whether it's switched from manual to auto, all of that stuff. But as I said earlier, it is good to see that EA are taking into consideration our feedback and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Make sure you go check out the link in the description down below, and of course in the pinned comments, so you guys can go ahead and fill out this form as well. Let me know in the comment section down below where your thoughts sort of differed with mine, with some of the opinions that you had and what you put down on this form. Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. And if you want to go check out some features which I thought would be pretty fun to have in NBA Live Mobile, go check out the video in the bottom left hand corner, and I'll see you guys in that one. Peace.